please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Crores. They also want to purchase some fresh capital equipment, that will be around 90 crores, and the rest would be used for general corporate purpose. Now talking about the company, it is predominantly an EPC player who's majorly into roads and highways. Other than that, they also take up the projects relating to buildings as well as water infrastructure as well. The order book stands at around 3,700 odd crores, which is decent given the scale and size of the business. In terms of how the financials stack up, well, the revenue CAGR for the last 4-5 years has been around 32%, and the PAT CAGR has been around 39%. So it looks impressive, but also do remember that the track record is very limited because it is a low base, and we have seen a sudden increase in the numbers in the last couple of years. The first half EPS is just 5 rupees versus FY17 full EPS at around 27 rupees, something to keep an eye out on. In terms of the risk and concerns in the business, well, they're predominantly an EPC player and they get most of their orders from NHI, etc. And their guarantees as well as the pre-qualification is not very high, so there is a bit of risk in terms of getting new orders. There can be delays as well, and not to forget that most of the company's order book is actually coming from 3-4 major states. Other than that, on valuations, well, Angel says that upper end of the price band, it is pretty much in line with industry averages. However, they have a neutral rating given they don't see much upside. ICICI Direct has the subscribe. It says it's available at around 25 times FY18-19 earnings, which is given the industry averages a decent rate. Back to you.
Okay, all right, Anisha. Thanks very much for that. Well, Manisha now joins in to give us an update on what's happening in the commodity and currency space. Manisha, morning.
Morning, and thank you so much for that. Well, it is a strong start of the week that we have seen for the crude oil prices. It is trading flat, but remember, Thursday, Friday were very strong gains, and we have seen 3 to 4% gains in the crude prices in the previous week, still holding around those 2-week highs on the screens right now. Well, to start with, the U.S. inventories have declined. The U.S. output, which had been showing an increase week-on-week basis, also has seen a dip, and the markets are looking at very high inventories in Cushing. Apart from that, you have seen the OPEC statements. Remember, the Saudi Arabia oil minister was in Delhi in the last week, and there have been those reiterations on how they will continue to cut output and exports as well, and that has been supportive for prices as well. So 63 and 66 is back in both of those crude varieties. What hasn't started the week so well really has been the metals as a space. Previous week as well, we saw some declines coming, and that's how the Asian markets have started today. There also has been an increase in inventories. If you look at aluminum, the inventories there have increased by 36% in last 2 weeks. There has been increase in inventories in copper and zinc as well, and that is what has brought the prices down. The only metal that has done well really has been the nickel prices. The EV demand estimates are on the stronger side, and there is a deficit in nickel, and that's keeping the prices higher.
Okay, all right, Manisha. Thanks very much for that. Well, more from the financial space now. The RBI has launched an ombudsman scheme for the NBFC or non-banking financial companies. This scheme will provide NBFC customers a cost-free and expeditious grievance redressal mechanism. So if you are a depositor or a borrower in an NBFC, you now have the scheme to resolve your complaint against the company. In stage 1, the scheme will cover all deposit-taking NBFCs. In the second stage, the scheme will cover all NBFCs with an asset size of 100 crores and above. The scheme will be operationalized by the end of this month for all deposit-taking NBFCs. Okay, well, on to our bullseye corner this week. We have our contestants this week, Gaurav Ratnapariki, Jay Thakkar and Shaina Mukaddam, who are battling it out for the strongest portfolio. Let's listen in to their picks for day 1.
I have a buy call on IDFC, stop loss 51.70 and target 55.60. Next one is a buy call on PFC, stop loss has been kept at 105 and target at 113. The third one is also on the long side, that is Havels, stop loss 495 and target 533. The last one is also on the long side, that is Andhra Bank. Stop loss has been placed at 44.70 and the target will be 48.40.
The first buy recommendation is on Britannia Industries. One can buy Britannia for a target of 51.35 with a stop loss of 48.55. The second buy recommendation is on Persistent Systems. One can buy Persistent for a target of 861 with a stop loss of 799. The third buy recommendation is on NIT Tech. One can buy NIT Tech for a target of 862 with a stop loss of 812. And a final buy recommendation is on Canara Bank. One can buy Canara Bank for a target of 324 with a stop loss of 309.10.
My first pick is Bharat Electronics. I buy it with a day target of 160 and a stop loss of 140. Second, Hexaware. I buy it with a day target of 390 and a stop loss of 335. Third, TV18. I buy it with a day target of 65 and a stop loss of 53. Fourth, Tata Global. I buy it with a day target of 285 and a stop loss of 255.
Well, you're still tuned into Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18. Well, let's get a quick heads up in terms of how exactly the Asian markets are doing at this point in time. And it's really a positive-ish session, you'd have to say, with the Japanese markets really leading in terms of gains. So we're up around 0.7% currently for the Japanese markets. And we have the Shanghai markets, which are absolutely flat. But you have to see that the Nikkei, in fact, is off the high point of the day at this point as well. So that's basically taking cues in terms of what's happened in the US markets. So we had the Dow, which rallied over 340 odd points, which closed higher for the entire week as well. So the SGX is indicating that it's going to be a positive start for us back home as well. Well, from the Indian Pharma conference, which is the quality compliance, was really the major theme of this conference, which took place in the city. CNBC TV18's Archana Shukla sent us this comprehensive report on the changes in the Indian pharma sector and how CEOs are tackling new challenges when it comes to compliance.
When the top Indian drug company CEOs come on the same platform with the biggest of the global drug regulators, you know the discussion on quality compliance would be really intense. Well, the biggest takeaway from the India Pharma Forum 2018 was that all the global drug regulators present here felt that and recognized the efforts that the Indian industry was putting on improving their quality systems and good manufacturing practices across their plants.
So I would like to let you know that last year, we recorded our highest annual total of generic drug approvals, over 1,000 by the agency. That's a big improvement. I just want to say that being here today underscores the fact that we appreciate our relationship with IPA and the Indian government, and we are proud to announce that, to say that we look forward to more of this in the near future.
There will always be some things that need to be improved. And generally within the Indian industry, I think we see a real desire to make those improvements and to work towards a standard which is in the interest of patients.
In 2016, we saw a higher number of these non-compliant sites, and we were trying to do a ratio of positive to negative non-compliance, and obviously this ratio for that year being more seems to go up.
While the beginning has been made, there is still a long road to cover as far as quality compliance is concerned. And the top CEOs from Indian drug companies deliberated on how the need to step back and now look at the root causes of these deviations in quality compliance, and how important would capability building be for Indian drug companies.
We kind of need to go back to basics, right? So I think we need to have the site head taking ownership of what gets out of the site. I think we need to have that empowerment happening there, that responsibility there as well, and the accountability out of that, and that percolating down, because we cannot, like Umang said, I think we can, there's a lot of retrospective stuff that you can do afterwards, but I don't think you get the opportunity of dealing with that matter as it happens.
We worked on a couple of things. One was trying to automate as much as we could. And we're still, I would say, about 30% down the road there. There's a long way to go still. I was happy to hear what Mark was saying in his presentation. There's so much more we can do. The second is the whole aspect of root cause investigation.
We've never competed with external organizations. We've always competed with ourselves. Is that we want to be better than what we were last year, rather than trying to say that I want to be better than that company. And that has helped us become a leader in Indian pharma business, especially the domestic business.
The emotional infrastructure, which is to create trust, integrity across the organizations, to improve the behavioral side of the shop floor. We are working on a program called Quest, which is quality enhancement to sustain compliance. And on that front, we are working on everything on the shop floor. So our all effort is that let's not work top down, let's work bottom up.
Building a culture of quality across the company, a hierarchy, is the prime important part of building a good compliance system in a company. And as one of the regulators here at the India Pharma Forum put it, quality needs to be institutionalized and not looked at from 1 or 2 batch perspective or 1 or 2 month perspective. Well, that's a great learning for Indian drug companies here at India Pharma Forum. In Mumbai, Archana Shukla.
Okay, well, some important statements coming in from all of the pharmaceutical heads, and a lot took place in the pharma space, you'd have to say, in the last week odd with the IPA conference in Bombay as well, or rather in Mumbai, and as well as the BioAsia conference, which took place in Hyderabad. But besides that, we also had news from the likes of Sun Pharmaceuticals as well as Dr. Reddy's on their particular facilities. But let's get a quick check again in terms of what's happening on the US, on the Asian markets. Remember that actually the US had a very good session. We had the Nasdaq, which was up around 127 odd points. We had the S&P 500, which was up around 43 odd points. We will have some statements coming in from the new Fed chief, so that should be something we should watch out for this week. But let's go across to Nigel D'Souza now, who is talking to the head of Liberty House.
Well, thanks so much for that, Ekta. Well, we have Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, the Executive Chairman of Liberty House, who joins in today. Hi, Mr. Gupta. Thanks so much, sir, for joining in. Well, you know, the street was keenly awaited this bid on Bhushan Power and Steel. If you could give us your course of action now, we believe that, in fact, your bid was rejected. So what's the way forward?
So we are asking the NCLT court to consider whether, on the basis that we believe our bid is superior, that we should be allowed to have our bid opened and considered.
Okay, all right. So you have already approached the NCLT. You're going to do it today?
Yes.
Okay, you're saying, Mr. Gupta, that your bid is superior. The details that we have, our Tata Steel has, you know, offered around 17,000 crores, price around 7,000 crores. So ballpark around 24,000, 25,000 crores. Your bid is superior, means it's better than that?
It is, but we cannot. I mean, that is for the for the committee to open and see. We cannot. I cannot go into details of how it is superior, but it is definitely superior.
It's definitely superior in comparison to what Tata Steel has offered, sir.
Right.
Okay, all right. So Bhushan Power and Steel, that's something that that we're working with. That yes, Liberty House has gone ahead and put in a bid over there. But what about other assets? Have you put in a bid for any other ferrous assets? Maybe an SR Steel? Have you put in a bid over there? And if not, why not?
We had to choose. We cannot bid for everything. So we had to choose. We want to enter specific sectors. We want to enter the primary steel sector, so we chose Bhushan Power. We want to enter recycling of steel, so we are going to bid for ABG to break ships there and recycle them. We wanted to be in the auto sector, so we'll bid for Amtech.
Okay, incidentally, let's talk about Amtech Auto. We'll get back to the ferrous subject. But in terms of Amtech Auto, what we understand is that the COC, that's, the committee is likely to meet either today or later this week. What's the update on the bid over there? What have you put on the table? Initially, the talk was that, in fact, all the bids that have come in for Amtech Auto, they are not up to even the liquidation value. If you could give us some details, your rationale over there, what kind of money have you put on the table for Amtech Auto?
No, see, any of these processes, I don't think it's appropriate to talk about numbers or what we bid and so on. In principle, strategically, it is a great fit for us. We've already bought the Amtech Auto businesses in the UK from the UK RP equivalent, and those businesses are already integrated with our business and are already very successfully turned around. Similarly, in India, we're very confident that if we win Amtech Auto, we will be able to integrate that with our business, which is the largest in the UK now in the sector, and we'll be able to make it a great success. So that is the reason and the basis on which we are bidding for these assets. We believe we will be a good strategic fit, and hence we will be able to make propositions which are superior to others.
Well, Mr. Gupta, no doubting the kind of capabilities and the kind of record that you have. You have turned around so many assets as well, across the globe. But coming to this bid on Amtech Auto or various other listed companies, you're a bidder, so you'll want the assets coming in at the best price, really. Do you believe that there is equity value out there? Because a lot of equity shareholders in India, yeah, they hold, Amtech Auto shares. Your understanding, is there equity value after taking such a write-down on debt, not just for this particular asset, but any of the assets that are up for sale?
No, I'll make a general comment. Unfortunately, a lot of these businesses have come into a situation where they had ballooned debts. So, equity has suffered. Debt is obviously ahead of equity. I don't want to go into specifics of any companies, but in general, that is an unfortunate situation that equity is suffering because of the debts becoming unsustainable.
All right, but not for the assets that you have bid, sir. But as per your understanding, do you believe there is still equity value, or there is, since you're taking over some part of the debt, there's, your take on the equity value? Is there any equity value?
Generally speaking, the debts have swamped the equity. So the debt has become unsustainable in itself, and obviously equity gets swamped out.
All right. Mr. Gupta, just to work with a few details, the assets that you have mentioned that you have put in a bid for is Bhushan Power and Steel. You're talking about the ABG shipyard as well as Amtech Auto, right? Any other assets you're looking at from the infra space, from the steel space?
Not in the first round. Out of the first 12 companies, we carefully chose the sectors and the companies which fitted as well. We chose Bhushan Power because they are specialists in making auto steel, and they have state-of-the-art plants to do so. So it integrates really well with our auto strategy. And the other two companies I mentioned. So these are the companies out of the first dozen companies which we bid for. Second round, when there are other companies, smaller companies which come up, there will be a natural bolt-on to many of the things we're doing. But that will come in due course.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Gupta, you've turned around a lot of steel assets, but a lot of assets actually globally. But in India, what makes you so optimistic on these assets? What makes you so, optimistic that you can turn around some of these assets? If you could give us a sense of what kind of values do you see going ahead as well? Because this would be one of the first turnarounds that you're looking at in India.
So we have a wide vertical footprint already, and we've had great experience in what we specialize in turning around assets in these sectors, which we have perfected over time. India is a natural home for us. We are, of course, the promoters of our group are basically Indian. We've been watching India for a long time. We have a presence in India for a very long time. We have been reticent about entering India because it has complications, but we feel now is the right time to come to our country. And these specific assets which you're talking about fit perfectly within our bandwidth, within our capability, within our strength. And they are growth sectors for the country. Auto India will be undoubtedly one of the great growth stories. Steel is fundamental to the growth of an economy. If the economy in India grows, steel will grow. And especially the integration between the steel and auto and such things, which is our model. Our model is to integrate various parts of our business, whether it be energy, whether it be steel, whether it be banking. So that integrated model makes us feel very confident that coming to India and implementing that in India will be a success.
Okay, and we're going to get you that exclusive conversation with Liberty House through the day on CNBC TV18, and the key points are going to continue flashing on your screen. That's all the time that we have on Power Breakfast.